Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tronage, and today we're going to be talking about Quadbox for November 2020. Are you as curious as I am how they're going to come back from their last box? Well, then you're gonna have to stick around. Quadbox, November 2020, in my hands. We're getting ready to open it, but before we do that, I just want to cover a couple of things. First off, we just finished doing the FPV crate unboxing for November 2020. If you missed that one, you can check it out up there. Definitely some great value. The only thing I had a little issue with was just the timing, and specifically that it arrived on Black Friday while the contents in the box were on Black Friday sale, so it kind of really diminished what appeared to be some good value just because the sale price was even more value. So the timing on that was a little bit poor in my opinion. I don't know if it was planning or whatnot, but I just felt that that was a little meh. But whatever, we move forward, the box was still pretty killer. So now we have the November box from Quadbox to sort of see how they answer to that. And, you know, coming off of their October unboxing, I personally thought it was a great box, had some great value and whatnot. The other people may have disagreed with me. I may have not been in the majority, specifically because things like it had this linchpin frame in it that people were like, you know, what the hell is that all about? And thought it was kind of like a joke or, you know, whatever. And, you know, some other issues that they had with the contents of the box. Personally, I thought it was great value. Even if you take the linchpin completely out, it still kind of met my criteria of good boxes. However, with that being said, you know, let's see how they retaliate and come back strong, because I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty confident Quadbox has always come out strong, especially when it starts getting towards the November-December season. It's always been sort of like a good thing going on. So let's go check this out. So here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna bring you all up in close. We'll do an unboxing together. I open it up for you live and in person, give you my genuine reactions as I see them. I don't do any of that little unboxing it and looking at it and putting it back in and then, you know, faking it. I do it real. I keep it real and I keep it honest, and that's the thing you need to understand. And then what we're gonna do, we'll do a little bit of a cost analysis just to talk about what's in this box, how much did it cost, how much is it worth, and keep in mind, by the way, not opinion based as far as, you know, whether I like it or I don't, just how much it costs to buy. That's what we're looking here. True value of what it costs to purchase these items, not whether I like it or not, whether I think it's worth that or not, just what it costs to buy. All right, so why don't you come on in and let's crack it open. Quadbox. All right, let's crack this open. We do it with the little flipperoo. Livel? I don't know what I'm saying here. All right, we'll cut this seal, little packing tape action. Crack that open, flip it back around. We try to get things squared away so things look good on the set here, and now we go. Sweet. All right, so I'm already seeing some dowel props. I am a big fan of dowel props. We have the Spitfire. They are 51 48.5s right there if you want to see your little informations and whatnot. They look to be in a orangey kind of color. Looks like we have 3 packs. Are they all the same? 5.1, yep. 5.1, and yes. So these are all 51 48.5s, 3 packs of those dowel props. I love dowel props. Moving on, we have a shirt here. Let's look. It looks to be a Rotor Riot logo. Let's see if that's for sure. And that is for sure. We just have a straight up Rotor Riot logo, which is always a great thing to have. Quality on this is nice. The print is pretty nice and heavy. The edges are relatively sharp. There's maybe a couple little areas where the edges are not as sharp as I wish they were, but I'm just getting picky on the shirts as I've come to start to do. But for the most part, a pretty darn good shirt. And as always, it is Gildan branded shirt there, as you see on the tag, so you know it's gonna be a quality shirt. Next up, we have a spoiler alert. I'm gonna take that away so I don't have any spoilers. We do have a sticker sheet. Basically, again, all about Rotor Riot with the Rotor Riot logos and the Quadbox logo. Pretty cool stuff. And then let's see here. We got two things here. Which one? I guess I'll go with this one. All right. So what we got here, this is a LiPo battery cell tester. It basically, you take this, you plug this into your balance leads, and then it'll show you, it'll cycle through the different cells and what their voltages are. This one also has a little button on the top here, which these with the button lets you set a low voltage alarm. That's what these two little black things are. These are little speakers that will beep. So once you have the low voltage alarm set, they'll actually tone off when a certain one of the cells drops below a certain target voltage. So you know this could be a problem. These are great to keep in your gear bag to just, you know, after you fly a pack, you can plug this on there. You can see, okay, is it charged? Is it discharged? Is it halfway charged? Did I go too far? Did I not go enough? What I like using these for, when I have my batteries hooked up to my my ISDT discharger, I put this on the balance lead just so that I kind of know where things are. So just in case something was to go a little wrong, I have a little extra insurance. So it's always a good thing to have. I keep at least one or two of these in my gear bag. They're so small and easy to compact to carry around that I always have these. So that's an awesome thing. And lastly here, we have the Rush FPV. It is the Tank Mini VTX. It's a 7 to 36 volt DC, 2 to 8S LiPo. It's got all kinds of good stuff here. It's got the it's got an MMCX connection. It's got the TBS Smart Audio. I'll give you all the specs. Here you go. I won't hog them. You can see them yourself here. You can pause it if you want to read the specs on it. But a nice VTX. I'm always liking these ones. This is pretty darn sweet. Always need a good VTX. So let's see what we got in this box. Is that it? That rounds it out? All right. Recap, we have the VTX. We have the LiPo cell checker. We got 3 packs of props. We got the t-shirt and we got the sticker sheet. So let's run some numbers and see how this box checks out. All right, guys, I ran the numbers and it was pretty much a straightforward box. And I really, in all honesty, don't have any complaints, personally speaking. So let's take a look at those numbers and there you go. All right, so first off, let's talk about these props. They're Dal prop brand. They are Spitfire. I'm usually more accustomed to using the Cyclone version, but I'm hearing pretty darn good things about the Spitfire, so I'm anxious to check those out. And I will say this once, I've said it 100 times, and I will say it again, getting props all the time is amazing, because I would say out of everything on your quad, that's really one of the consumables that happens quite often. Unless you're a really good pilot and you never crash, typically any crash will result in some form of damage to your props. And yes, could you fly it with them chipped and banged and bent up? Yeah, you could. I wouldn't. I've had it where I've had a prop literally explode because it was just bent up and I pushed it to the limit. So I kind of gotten to the point where after I have like 1 or 2 crashes and a prop just has that like question mark, like, is that good enough? No, it's not good enough. Put on a fresh set of props. It also throws off your tune, by the way, because any kind of nicks, bumps, scratches, and bends on your props kind of sends vibrations to that good old flight controller that has to deal with it. So it will affect your tune. It will affect your flight performance. You may not think it does, but it does. So please change out your props. Don't be cheap. They're cheap enough as it is. Throw a new set on there when you know, when it's time. You'll know when it's time. Next up, we have this little teeny voltage checker, and we have received these before. This is not the first time we've got these in the box, but I always like to consider this as maybe this is the first box that you've subscribed to, and this is the first time you're getting this item, so we'll talk about it a little bit. This is a very important item because one thing that's like sort of like the little elephant in the room that's talked about somewhat, but sort of kind of not really discussed as much as it maybe should, is just how dangerous an LiPo pack can be, especially with the amount of discharge that we're putting on it and how fast we're discharging it and how far we could discharge it. So these are very important. Now, if you're not concerned about weight, this one has a little button on it that while it's plugged in, you hit that button and it lets you set what you want your voltage to be when it should alarm. And you could be flying with this on your quad up in the air. So while if you're not paying attention, you're not looking at your OSD, maybe you don't even have an OSD, whatever the case is, you'll hear this thing start beeping from up in the air. And you know, I probably should come down and land. And that's where this is good for. If you are concerned about flying with something on your battery, like you were concerned about weight concerns, you can just use this when you come down, you land, you pop it on, you can see where your voltages are at. Or let's say you got a bunch of packs in your bag and you accidentally threw one of your used ones in with the fresh ones and you're not really sure which is which, you can use this to find which one's used, which one's fresh, and all that fun stuff. And you can also use this for when you're charging, you can check your cell voltages, because let's say you're going to do some parallel charging. By the way, don't do parallel charging unless you know what you're doing, but you can do some parallel charging. You can check your cell voltages to make sure they're all in line with each other so you know which packs to charge with packs. Tons of uses for this. It's so cheap, so it's just one of those little tools that, you know, you take for granted, but you really need to have. So if you didn't have one, now you do. And if you already have one and you don't need it, give it to a friend. Give it to someone just getting into the hobby, because this is a very important tool that everyone should have. Next up, we got this t-shirt, and I gotta tell you, oh, wow. Okay, so I only saw the logo. I literally, I just got chills because I thought it was kind of cool. I'm a geek sometimes when it comes to swag. But when I held it up to show you guys the front, check out this back with the freaking Rotor Riot down the freaking spine. I don't know, that design like literally gave me goosebumps, and I'm freaking geeking out over a damn t-shirt. Can you believe it? But I don't know, just like that look going down like the spine. I don't know. I just really dig this shirt right now. And I know, you know, it's a dark shirt. It's simple. It's got the freaking Rotor Riot logo on it. I don't know. I'm geeking out too much. I'm putting this down before I get to, like, I don't know, something. And then lastly, we have this VTX by Rush FPV. It is a solid VTX. We've gotten some of these other ones from them in the past. They're just solid VTXs. I'm really excited to have got another one. And I'm already, hold on, let me get out my crystal ball. Someone's gonna be like, oh, but it's a 20 by 20 hole mounting pattern and I'm fly 5-inch. Why do I need 20 by, shut up. I'm sorry, I don't want to be so mean, but the point is this. It doesn't matter, like, I feel like there's like this little stigma that if you fly 5-inch, you have to have a 30 by 30 mounting hole pattern, and if you fly like 3-inch or smaller, then you have to have the 20 by 20 hole mounting pattern for your stack. And that's not true. It really is just the size of the electronics. You could very easily take a 20 by 20 hole mounting pattern of a VTX, an ESC, and a flight controller, make your stack of a 20 by 20 hole mounting pattern and easily put it in a 5-inch frame. 5-inch frames, a lot of them have 20 by 20 hole mounting patterns for your stack and 30 by 30 hole mounting patterns. And the advantage of the smaller components is less weight, less size. A company has the option. They could make it 20 by 20 or they can make it 30 by 30. They could take these exact same components, stick them onto a larger board, make it weigh a little bit more, and have it take up more room. Why would you do that? So having it as a 20 by 20 hole mounting pattern, I think is absolutely fine. And it also does allow the flexibility because you can put 20 by 20 hole mounting pattern stack stuff into a 5-inch quad. Typically speaking, you're not going to be able to squeeze 30 by 30 hole mounting pattern stuff into a 3-inch quad. So the idea is that this can be used for both, while something that's 30 by 30 is only for like the larger sized quads. And personally, I think we're sort of at that point where you kind of can fit everything on 20 by 20. So I don't really know why 30 by 30 really exists. Because I see like F7 flight controllers in 20 by 20. I see ESCs that are pretty robust in 20 by 20. I mean, the ESC maybe because, you know, at the higher amps, you need that extra room, but I don't know. I feel like we're getting to the point where technology and advancements and everything is just getting things so small that we can kind of just move formally to a 20 by 20 in general. I don't see any reason to really stay at 30 by 30 because everything's getting tiny. Technology, man. Wow. But yeah, that's my opinion on that. So even though it isn't 30 by 30, a lot of VTXs don't even have a hole mounting pattern. They just give you a thing that you got to shove in your quad somewhere or 3D print something. So the fact that it even has hole mounting pattern on it, I think is kind of a cool thing nonetheless. So anyway, so now that sums up this quad box. So let's go down here to the bottom now, and you can see that this quad box has met my criteria. What is my criteria? I have a criteria that is Mystery boxes in general, for me to consider them to be like the standard that I've come to expect of good value, is they have to give either $20 or 25% over the cost of the box to have it be worthwhile. Because if you're not aware, a mystery box works that I'm sacrificing my choice. I'm not picking my items, but I want to get value in return for that sacrifice. That's the concept. You give me something you want to give me, but it better be good value to compensate the fact that I don't get to pick it. And I feel like $20 or 25%, whichever comes first, is a good metric to be like, that was a pretty decent value to receive. Anything more and it's like, oh man, awesome. Anything less and it's sort of like, well, was it really worth it? And you start asking yourself those questions. And here you can see for the $20 mark, we're like 70 cents away from $20. So that is, close enough in my opinion. And as far as the percentages go, which is actually what's more important really if you think about it, we're at 28%, which is over 25%. So this basically, here's my 25% and we're a little notch above that. So I would say this box has some decent value overall and I'm happy about it. And there's no real question marks here. There's nothing, when I searched everything up, these are the prices that came up and that's it. I didn't have to go on a hunt. Nothing seemed to be on sale anywhere. I mean, it is after Black Friday and after Cyber Monday. Usually you see like lingering sales for somewhat or another, and I didn't see any sales. So if you did see these on sale, you can comment down below, let me know. But this is the prices I found and I just go by what I find. And for comparison for FPV Crate, just to keep everything fair, I will be using their retail prices, not their sale prices when it comes to the comparison. So it's no big deal that I'm not talking about any sale prices because I couldn't find any anyway. But speaking of comparisons, now let's talk about how this stacks up with FPV Crate. So here you go. Now, if you're new around the channel, let me give you a little quick tour of how this little graph works here. The left side here is basically just all the different headings of the dates and things that we're looking at. That middle column there, that's about what's going on with Quadbox, and that last far column over there, that is what is going on with FPV Crate. So that first line there is basically what happened in 2019. And I started my analysis in July because that's when FPV Crate launched. I don't want to have anyone to have any headsy starties because Quadbox has been around for a very long time before that. So that's why we're starting in July. But now keep in mind, I want to keep things as fair as possible because now when we come to the next line, which is 2020, what's going on? Quadbox did not put out a box in February due to COVID. So it's hard to judge when you're looking at what's going on in 2020 because FPV Crate put out an extra box that Quadbox didn't, just because of supply chain issues. So that's why I created the next line that shows how many boxes we received during this time period, and then you can see that we have received one more box from FPV Crate with 17 versus Quadbox's 16. Then I just did some very quick, easy arithmetic, and that's finding an average, and it's taking the total amount and dividing by how many boxes we received, and that gives you your averages for both boxes of what kind of value you can expect to receive. Now, it doesn't mean every box will have this amount of value. It just means on average, that's what we've got. And then one more line down there, we do have the percentages. And this is what is very, very important when you're making comparisons between these two boxes, because one thing to keep in mind, FPV Crate is $10 more expensive than the Quad box. So you got to remember that when you're looking at these two boxes, one of them is $10 more expensive. So by default, it should definitely give you at least $10 more of stuff in it. And whether or not that's above the cost of the box or not, but you better be getting at least $10 more because it costs $10 more. So if you want to get your money's worth, you better be at least getting that $10 back. So when you look at the value above the cost of the box, the percentages is really important because it's sort of like you're comparing something that's a little bit smaller with something that's a little bit larger. So to make things fair, you just have to look at what's the percentage, because 10% is 10%. It doesn't matter the size, because if I give you 10% off on a product or I give you 10% off on a different product, it's still 10% off. It's still that same amount of change. So that's why we use percentages. Anything labeled in green, means that's who's in the lead. So as you see now, what's very interesting as we look down this box is there's a lot of green over on FPV Crate, but there's also a lot of green on Quadbox. Now, the one thing that's a little concerning in my mind is that we're starting to form a little neck and neck race here with Quadbox barely being in the lead for average value that they're providing in their boxes. So really it means that December is going to be December to remember, because it's going to be, I think, when usually these boxes lay it out on the line, and they've really given out some good value in the past. Quadbox always freaking kills it when it comes to December. I don't know what FPV Crate's going to do. Last year they did pretty decent as well. They're both really good in December. So it is going to be really neck and neck to see who ends out the year taking the crown of being like the best value. However, even though their values are neck and neck, if you look at their percentages, remember, Quadbox is giving that same amount of value and costs $10 less. That's why their percentages is higher, because you paid less and got the same amount of value. So that's why it's a better deal as far as percentages go if you care about that sort of thing. So again, which one of these is right for you, or if any at all, I don't know that information. I'm only giving you the information so that you can make your own decisions about which of these boxes are right for you. Personally, I kind of like them both, because I feel like there's like this little fight going on where one puts out stuff and the other puts out stuff, and it's like this little, I don't know, it's like watching a boxing match, and it's fun to enjoy how each box puts stuff in and how they retaliate. And I'm really excited to see December, because the fact that at this point everything sort of rolled into being a neck and neck race, December is going to be a killer month as far as, you know, who reigns supreme for 2020. And this is a real messed up year for 2020. So anything I think is possible at this point, and I just can't wait to see what happens in December's boxes. So once I get those, we'll be unboxing them and we'll be doing our cost analysis along with it. All right, so as always, my name's Tronage. Fly strong.